In the history of gospel music, Bill Gaither is generally considered a giant. His upbringing shaped his values and his love of music. William James Gaither came into this world in Alexandria, Indiana on March 28, 1936. Growing up in a small town instilled in him a profound devotion to God and a passion for music. Throughout his formative years, the principles held by him were imparted to him by his parents, George and Leila Gaither. A loving, close-knit family showered him with love throughout his childhood. Being exposed to gospel music and Southern gospel quartets as a young boy had a profound impact on Bill's musical tastes. The church in their neighborhood was a regular stop for his parents, who were deeply committed Christians. The worship services featured extensive musical performances. As a young man, Bill took a keen interest in music and songwriting after hearing the gospel and church bands that he adored. Bill had a simple yet joyful childhood after being born in the Midwest's midst of nowhere. The day consisted of him doing household chores, attending church with his family, and playing outside with his friends. During the day, he would also visit the church. Because of his childhood in a small town, he has a deep sense of community. Church attendance was mandatory, and people were known to pitch in and help their neighbors when they were down. In addition to fostering his interest in and talent for church music, this setting set the stage for his subsequent career achievements. His mother, a gifted pianist who frequently sang songs in the house, introduced Bill to music at an early age. His mother was Bill's primary music teacher. He would try his best to sing along while listening intently whenever they were seated together. An ever-deepening love for music was something he achieved throughout his life. He was encouraged to pursue his talent by his parents, who noticed it in him at an early age. Bill started composing music and playing the piano at an early age. He had started to play the piano right away. Bill and a few of his closest friends formed their first gospel quartet when he was a senior in high school. Following their school day, they would gather for harmony practice before showcasing their talents at community events such as churches and other gatherings. During this time, Bill realized the true potential of music, its ability to uplift the soul and unite people in worship, among other uses. Even as a young child, he stood out due to his ability to write moving melodies and songs. Bill always yearned for a more traditional career path, even though his heart belonged to music. He attended Anderson College, now Anderson University, to earn a degree in English and teach after finishing high school. After hearing his parents stress the importance of education, Bill decided that becoming a teacher would help him find peace of mind. While still a senior in high school, he made up his mind to become an English teacher. Being able to communicate with his students and share his love of literature was one of the reasons he loved his job. However, his love for music in the church never wavered. He maintained his musical career as a composer and performer with gospel groups even while he was a professor. Along with his siblings Danny and Marianne Gaither, he established the Bill Gaither Trio in the 50 CS. Every one of them belonged to the Gaither clan. They became known for their stirring performances and uplifting melodies through appearances at local churches and other small gospel gatherings. The unwavering support of his family, the abundance of gospel music in his home, and Bill's upbringing, which was firmly Christian, all contributed to the groundwork for what would become an extraordinary career in gospel music. A profound love for religious music took root in his formative years. This love would go on to inspire him to write some of the most famous hymns ever written. Time has come. Growing up in a small Indiana town instilled in him the value of family, faith, and never giving up on a dream he had since he was a little boy. The things he studied shaped not just his sound, but also his character. For all of Bill Gaither's life, he had been immersed in spirituality, music, and relationships that went beyond just playing music together. His fame was built not only on his gospel songwriting and singing, but also on his ability to unite people and be there for them through thick and thin. Those who were close to him included Jake Hess, George Younts, and Vestal Goodman. On top of that, they weren't just his employees or fellow musicians, they were his dearest friends and people who believed in the power of music to convey ideas. Among their many shared pursuits were journeys, musical performances, and times of prayer. On top of that, they had been through the ups and downs of life together. The loss of all of them so quickly, though, would have been more devastating than Bill had anticipated. The loss of Jake Hess in 2004 January was the initial setback. One facet of Jake's personality was his famous voice in church music. He was like a father figure and a guide, and something that has inspired Bill all his life. Jake brought a unique sense of emotion to every note of every song with his distinctive singing style. The first thing that happened was that Bill was introduced to the music of different churches by Jake. They had an instantaneous understanding that words weren't necessary the second they met face to face. Ultimately, a profound friendship was formed as a result of mutual respect. The clear, reassuring voice of Jake lingered in Bill's mind. Jake would entertain him with anecdotes from his travels, crack jokes, and provide encouragement. Jake battled multiple health problems throughout his life. Bill had both admired and felt saddened by his friend's unwavering faith as he confronted each difficulty. In his last months, Bill made the most of every opportunity to spend time with him, and they spent a lot of time together. It seemed like time stood still when Bill heard about Jake's death. He realized he was playing the piano and singing the same songs they had done before. He was able to overcome his depression with the help of music. Bill was just one of many who had their lives changed by hearing Jake's voice speak at his funeral. It was hard for him to hold back his tears as he listened to the comforting music they were singing. Everything was quieter once he parted ways with the man who had played a pivotal role in his rise to fame as a musician. There was another disaster in April of 2005 while Bill was still grieving Jake's death. The beloved bass singer George Yorntz died after a protracted battle with illness. Bill had the good fortune to meet George, and he was an incredibly interesting and entertaining human being. He became a beloved member of the Gaither homecoming family thanks to his powerful and deep voice, which propelled the cathedrals to fame. George was a gifted individual, but he was also humorous, sociable, and deeply religious. Through many hours of sharing meals, laughing at his jokes, and talking about faith, music, and life, Bill had become close to him. He had a special gift for elevating the status of those around him. It had been unbearable for me to watch George's health decline. Despite knowing that his time was limited, Bill made regular visits to see him, prayed with him, and tried to lift his spirits. Nevertheless, he was unprepared for the last goodbye. He recalled the times they had shared, whether on stage, backstage, or on lengthy bus rides, when they would laugh about the good old days and make plans for the future as he sat at George's funeral with his grieving friends and family. Many people had treated George like a rock, but all of a sudden that rock wasn't there. Coping with the magnitude of the loss was nearly impossible. Another devastating blow came to Bill in December 2005, just when he was starting to think his heart couldn't take any more pain. The premature death of Vestal Goodman, widely regarded as the queen of church music, has created an irreparable hole in the musical world. Had Jake served as the group's instructor and George as its leader, Vestal personified the essence. It would have shaken any church to its core and brought tears to the eyes of anyone who heard her voice because it was both powerful and gentle. The impact was not solely due to her words, but also to her mere presence. Vestal was enormously charismatic, and her gentle warmth embraced those around her like a bear hug. The nickname Darling that she bestowed upon individuals created an inflated sense of self-importance. The poise and power with which Vestal moved had long been an object of Bill's awe. She had persevered through thick and thin, but she had never given up on God, her love for others, or her music. Her sudden demise seemed both horrific and unbelievable. As Bill played old videos of her singing, he relished the chance to hear her voice soar on classics like God on the Mountain and What a Lovely Name. He really enjoyed those songs. He missed her contagious laughter, perceptive comments, and unshakable belief in music's transformative and inspiring power. He suffered greatly from the simultaneous deaths of Jake, George, and Vestal, much of his own character. There was more to the homecoming family than simply music. It revolved around the strong relationships they had developed and how they had helped each other through good times and bad. All of its luminous qualities had vanished, along with 3 of its lights.